Hey everyone, welcome back to Haunt After Hours, where we pay tribute to the work, chaos, and fun that goes on behind the scenes in the haunt industry. I'm Heartless Heather, and I'm here with Nanny Janny.
Hey,
Big Ant.
Hey, everybody.
And blessing us with his presence tonight, we've got Travis with the T. Everyone
he
say, hey,
exists. He
Travis.
does
He does
exist.
exist. He's not just a voice
We
behind the
talk
speaker.
about him often, and you'll hear him behind the screens. Is this the first time you've ever actually been on the No We Have a video? Have you?
He
I think I
said,
walked in front of the camera a couple times. I don't know if you put it in the editing or not.
Yeah, one time he was stuck in the background and came in through the front, but now that I don't remember seeing it in the video. I don't remember the replay.
Anyways, he does exist. He's been part of our haunt family for the last 10 years and a part of our family for the last 30. So here he is in the
31?
flesh.
31-ish?
that's when we found him at Wendy's.
Yeah.
This is the weekend of Trans World in the haunt industry. So it's a big weekend in the haunt industry. Our first year since we've been in the industry where none of us have made, nobody from our haunt family has made
Went to the
appearance,
went
yeah.
to Transworld. Yeah. I was buying tickets too in December, and I
You realize nobody else was going.
yeah, nobody else to give me dates, and
And
yeah.
we
I would
just
have
have
gone,
so
I
much
didn't.
going on, and I have medical issues. Normally I'm there every year, and
I feel
Heather
like it's
wanted to
early
go.
this year too. I feel like it snuck
Yeah,
up. I feel like
It
I
was-
turned around and it was like normally it's the end of March. I feel
Yeah.
like, and then this year it was like we haven't even hit March and it's
Right.
happening.
Yeah,
That's what made it hard too.
but for a while they put after 2020 they kind of started doing it earlier and earlier, and I didn't. It was better in the back.
It's better when it's closer to Taxmas,
Yeah.
so then you have the money from your taxes to go. Because
Some
you're
people have
broke after
already
the
done
haunt,
their
and then you broke through Christmas, and
I'm just broke all year round.
yeah, yeah.
All right, we've got a fun show for you tonight, but before we get started, Big Ant, share with us your boo story of the week.
Okay, so I have a few boo stories of the week, and I was telling these guys that they earlier they're they're not really some that are authenticated in any way other than I found them in Reader's Digest, so I feel that if they're in Reader's Digest, they're pretty legit, right? I mean, wouldn't you say? But there's three stories. So, first one is the case of the not so devoted dad. Now, we've all heard of Bring Your Child to Work Day, which is a long honored tradition that allows children to see where a parent works, go to work with them, and actually see them in practice, which is probably a great thing unless you're a crook. This crook brought his young son along with him on a job where they decided to rob a pet shop, which was, I guess, okay. Bring your son to work. If you're going to have your son become a crook like you, bring him to a pet shop, find him a pet. The guy, however, was caught a little bit later while he was carrying a pet but missing something very important, guys. He left his son in the pet shop.
Oh my goodness.
Traded,
was his son?
exchange.
Had like
So,
The hospital would
so
take
guess
him,
how he was caught, right?
get him back in to get the son, or did they
No, it doesn't say that he was getting back in.
I don't
No.
want to hijack this, but I will say I've seen something similar happen in a Walmart one time. I don't know if they robbed anything, but Chris and I and the kids were walking out of Walmart, and we seen two ladies by a car that it was running still. They had locked it. They were smart enough to lock it and keep it running because they had a baby in a car seat and another baby in a booster seat. But the baby in the car seat had been crying, and the people were waiting for the cops to come because the parents had been paged and nobody was coming to the car. And the Walmart, all Walmarts have security, so the security was there. We went to Perco's, which was an adjacent parking lot, and we seen the cops pull up. And apparently, the people walked out of Walmart, seen the cops around their car, and got nervous, and then just let their kids are still there. Like, what were you gonna do?
yeah.
She called her the lady whose kids it was. Apparently, she called her mother because as we were walking out of Perco's, of course, we want to know what happened. We could hear the mom arguing with the cops, like, "Please, can you just release them to me?" He's like, "No, like you don't understand. We're gonna get her. Like she can't just."
Right. No,
Yeah. So she either comes
Secrets
and then I can release them to you, or we have to have CPS take them off.
right before Christmas at the local Walmart in the next town up, there was a couple, and they were probably 40, 45-ish, and they had a big silver $100,000 truck parked into the handicap spot. Well, when they came out and the guy started opening the door and the lady started putting stuff in there, and it wasn't in bags, and I didn't think nothing of it because you don't put things in bags anymore because they charge you 10 cents for a bag now. And she was putting a bunch of stuff in there, and then security came, and then the cops, and it was like they were actually stealing that stuff.
Oh,
And she was saying like, "Oh, we didn't steal it. We paid for it. Show me your receipt."
no.
Type of thing. And they'd already he had done something, and they handcuffed him right away and had him sit down. And the one officer, when they got there, of course, we're being nosy. He said, "You're parked in a handicap. Let me see your license."
Oh, it is.
He said to the other one, "Did he show him his license?" And he walked around there. So he wrote him a ticket while he's handcuffed there on
Oh, my
top of
God.
everything else. He's parked. Like, I don't know what y'all are going to arrest him for, but I'm going to give him a
you a
ticket.
ticket.
That's funny. Talk about having a bad day.
Yeah. So, but we never did see him pull all the stuff that she was putting in the.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, you have that nice of a truck. Like, you have money for Christmas. You know?
Yeah, what are you doing?
That's funny. Well, they're probably not paying the truck either, quite frankly.
Could have been his own truck. I don't know. But we just thought that was funny as heck. And
So-
they were.
Our hero number 2 of the week. It says the case of the liquor store Lothario. Scottish shoplifter Aaron Morrison was picked up after pinching a bottle of vodka from a liquor store. Now, it didn't take Sherlock Holmes to find Morrison, though. His name and phone number was left with the clerk after he asked her on a date.
Oh my goodness.
Say that again. What?
Come on, girl.
He asked her for a date and then robbed her?
He asked her for a date, gave him his phone number, and then robbed her. Or took off with some liquor, actually.
Yeah.
Didn't rob
That's a
her.
whole new kind of. Here's your sign.
I know girls that would still call him.
Right.
Right?
No way.
He's obviously gotten away with it once or twice is why he did it.
They like dangerous
He's so
men.
charming. Yeah.
So I thought I had a third one, but evidently I took the photo of the wrong one. So I wound up taking the devoted dad photo twice. So that's all I had for today. Those are my 2 heroes of the week.
Well, I don't know if my hero would be stealing liquor.
Maybe I should change the word hero to genius, huh?
Yeah.
All right, I've got some haunt trivia for us tonight. What has been recognized by the Guinness Book of World Record as the world's longest haunted house? This probably you won't get, but what I thought was interesting is that you can get into the Book of World Records for having the longest haunted house. So if anybody
I was
is,
thinking
it-
Winchester. Is it the Winchester?
it's not the Winchester Mystery House, but that's what I would have thought.
Yeah.
So it's called the Cutting Edge Haunted House, and it doesn't give me the location, so somebody's gonna have to Google it and tell me where that's at.
So is it like a seasonal haunted house, or is it a house that's actually?
This is just a trivia question off the line, so
Oh,
I
sorry.
really don't. How is Halloween less commonly referred to as?
Less
Well,
commonly?
Yes.
All Hallows Eve.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
All Hallows Eve, or some say All Saints Eve, or All Halloween. What item is banned only during Halloween in Hollywood?
Banned?
You cannot use this item at all during Halloween in Hollywood. This feels like something that'd be on one of your rules,
One of my rules?
one of your laws, those silly
Probably
laws.
the Bible
what?
or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, Bible, a cross.
Silly string.
What?
You cannot have silly string in Hollywood on Halloween.
Is it so
Why?
yucky to
The
pick
mess,
up?
maybe, probably, yeah. They must have had an issue with.
Say it again.
They must have had an issue with vandalism or something.
You know what? Is it flammable? I bet you it's flammable, huh? That might be why.
Now you can also hold the world that in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most jack o' lanterns lit in one place. So if you are a haunt and you're in like you want to get in the book somehow, these are some things that you can look into to beat the records.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
right now the current record holder is in Keene, New Hampshire. Is it New Hampshire? How do you say it?
Hampshire.
New Hampshire. I've worked with
Yeah, I
this-
don't
And
know.
she is our.
No, listen,
know.
I get it's kind of a funny. I worked with this little young when I was younger. I was like 24 and she was 24 also, but she had a little bit of an accent and she called it New Hampster, and I've just always called it that since because I thought it was cute and funny. And so now I forget like how
You
to
have to
actually
really-
say it. Yeah.
That's like with some of the grandkids. I'll say the words wrong on purpose. Like, get that out of your mouth. And instead of mouth.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah, because
anyways.
you start to speak like them. Like my kids, when they want the music turned down, they say, lower it up, lower it up.
Yeah.
And that means turn
The
the
first
radio
time my
down.
dad heard him say that, he's like, when I was turning the radio up, and he's like, lower. He goes, they're telling you to roll it down, turn it down. I said, no, they're saying lower it up. They want to hear it higher. He's like, what the hell?
Lower it up.
Only Heather's kids.
Wait, I want to know how long the haunt was. How long was the
I
haunt?
got it right here.
What is it?
It takes 55 minutes for the average visitor to walk through. It's a 100-year-old abandoned meat packaging plant.
In Texas?
In Fort
It's in Fort Worth. Yeah, did you look it up too, Travis?
Yeah, but
Does,
So it's in
does it
Fort Worth,
actually say the length of the house, like how many yards or how many feet?
linear feet.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
don't
it's on
see that.
there.
It's got to be even on in that
It's got to
world
be on
record.
there.
But I don't know that one. We went to one in 2024 in, it must be Madera, California.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was a pretty long. I feel like those were pretty long. If they combined them, they
Yeah.
might
If they
give that
combined
for a
them,
run
yeah.
for the money.
Well, you
They
know-
have two separate cornfields
Right.
that are very long in length. But if they made that one, I bet you they
Yeah,
take
I'm
the cake
thinking
on
if
that.
we did that with the House of Dystopia and the cornfield this year, you'd have one heck of a long one too.
55 minutes, though? That's a
55
pretty
minutes is a
long.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people be getting their money's worth. Like when they say,
Yeah.
"Oh, it cost me $25 to go there,"
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was how much is it? It doesn't
Yeah,
have
how
a
much are
price
the
on it.
tickets?
I didn't look for the prices. I looked for the location. So
That's what I want to. I'm kind of thinking about doing like a bucket list year for Halloween this year and just hitting up.
going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Select your ticket type.
No, you're pulling it up
$5.
$5 per ticket insurance.
Ticket insurance. Oh,
in case you can't go all the way through. Hey, that's a good idea. Because people that go through on our haunted house, there's been several that couldn't make. And there's one where
I don't think it's in case you can't go all the way through. It's in case you
Because
need
it
to
rained out or
cancel.
something, yeah.
Mhm.
So we had one that went through and she couldn't make it through, and the group that she was with, like, she should get her money back. She couldn't get it back. She was like, "No, it's okay. I got what I paid for. They scared me. That's
Yeah.
what they wanted." And they're like, "Well, you didn't even make it through the second round."
I was going to say, we had some people that didn't even make it through the first room, it sounded like.
Right.
They do a Valentine's Day event. They do it. It sounds like they do scary houses all.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, because it's in a set location. It's in a meat locker that already has the sprinklers. It already has all that other stuff. So
Now this is a superstition, and I don't know. Like it sounds kind of far fetched to me, but maybe it's a thing. Maybe you older generation have heard of this
oh my God,
before.
I've heard that so many times.
A person born on Halloween is said to have what particular ability?
Is
They
it?
speak to sixth sense.
Yeah, ability to see and communicate with spirits.
Oh.
I was born on Friday the 13th, and I don't know if I can communicate with spirits, but I do know that I have some kind of psychic power that I just am afraid to hone into
Yeah.
because I knew my house in
Mispronounced
Tennessee.
psycho.
Yeah, I knew I was going to get termites. From the minute I moved in there, I just felt that there was going to be a termite situation, and now I got termites.
I can remember looking up at the third story, and she said, "Is that termites?" I'm Heather. That's your damn dryer vents. What the hell do you mean?
Because I would see like things. We are a military family, and for a little bit we lived in Louisiana, and in Louisiana it was like a whole culture shock because they have termite swarms, and it's just normal. People continue about their lives, and I'm thinking like, should we like be covering our house or something because there's
Yeah, but
termites
they're
flying
already
above
treated,
our
yeah.
lives?
It was bad in Louisiana.
Nobody cared. You just go about it's just a termite swarm. Like you get used to it. So you do get desensitized. Now Travis and I went on a trip and we ate termites, and they tasted like mint.
Yeah, they do.
Where was that? That was in.
Costa.
So when you have the
Ohio or
exterminator
something?
come out, just tell them, "Hey, we want to freeze those. We got some desserts. we're making
we
this
got
summer."
some.
That
They're
was,
minty. Yeah.
I want to one of the Grand Cayman Islands or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, living in this house, as soon as I moved there, I just like
I remember.
had been very paranoid about termites, and I really don't know why. I just knew that it was going to be a situation, and my in-laws went and checked on the house and sent us a picture, and we've got holes burrowed into the
You got
wood.
a hole.
No,
Oh my
there's
gosh,
like
small
enough
hole.
to cause panic and chaos.
You
So,
have an exterminator that comes to the house once a month. They should have caught onto that.
well,
Rather than
they don't
picking
come
them.
once a month. They come every 3 months, but they will come out. So shout out to Gray's Pest Service in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, because they really are like super phenomenal. And you pay $50 every 3 months,
Yeah.
and they come out once every 3 months, but they will come out unlimited times
Right.
during that time
Right.
to do whatever you need.
So if you have a little
However,
mice in your
termites Termites is separate.
If you have a little mice in your cupboard that shows up and your in-law, your mother, not your in-laws, your mother or your auntie or whatever don't want to be collecting little mice, you call them and they'll set out traps and collect them for you.
You better pray that you don't have to tent that house, though.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what everybody asks. Is
I
it to be
didn't realize
tinted?
mine.
Now, when I talk to them I've only had a small conversation with them through the email, and it's like, don't worry, this isn't gonna, even if it is termites, it's not as gonna take
Structural.
stuff out of your savings. It's very affordable to
Who told you
treat.
that?
Gray's Pest Service. So
Oh, okay.
now next week I might have a different review on them, but for right now we're gonna say
Chad,
5 out of 5.
Chad's an expert in that too. He went to take a whole series of classes on it. So
And he's from Louisiana, but
Yeah.
that's why.
that's Louisiana.
So
the Blanc
Chad-
Pest Control.
Chad is he was our neighbor and he was our bug guy, and his it's LeBlanc Pest Control in
Louisiana.
Louisiana. It's what area is that? Like Tangipahoa
Yeah.
Parish. He
Ponchatoula, Hammond area, but his whole family was a part of our
That's what I was just gonna
that's
say.
what I was just gonna say. That's
It wasn't even
he's-
part of the
he is he became part of our Louisiana cast. Very much a haunt enthusiast. You never would have expected it from him, but he absolutely
got addicted
loved
to it.
it.
Yeah.
Looked
Right.
forward to
People
it
do.
year after
People
year.
do.
And then
Visit us in
He had his own business, and he wasn't even showing up to work for like the whole month beforehand because he wanted to.
uh-huh.
Oh, he was helping the setup.
Yeah, but he wanted to set up and get into his character, and
He's a good guy too. So
Yeah.
if you are in Tennessee in Louisiana in Tangipahoa Parish, hit up
Yeah.
LeBlanc Pest Control. He's really good as well.
multi-generational pest control.
Yeah.
family.
But he carries all his little costumes for all the different bugs in the back. So
Yeah,
one
it's
day
cool.
he's got his like bee costume, or I guess it's an outfit.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not a
know,
costume.
whatever it
It's-
is.
yeah.
But yeah.
Costume.
It's safety gear, but it's like a costume to sell.
I gotta tell you one thing about the tasting termites though. When we went on the trip, the tour guides had told us, you can eat them. They're in survival. They're really good for you.
I thought it was
Well,
Jamaica.
well,
Wasn't it Jamaica?
It wasn't. It was right after Jamaica. It was the
Yeah,
island that was
We
after.
took the kids to
Because
the
we went zip
zoo.
lining in Jamaica, but where we ate termites is where we did a water raft,
Oh.
and Molly was there. Anyways, they had said that you can eat them, and they said, "Do you guys want to eat them?" And everyone said, "No, that's gross." And I said, "Yeah, make them eat them. Yeah, they want to eat them." And so I convinced like 4 people to try them.
Yeah,
think
I
it
was the first one.
Molly and Heather, and
I was like, I'll
I
try
never,
it.
I never
So
took a
then
bite
after
out of it.
you
I
guys-
Were
was
they alive?
So Travis was like, "You only live once." I was like, "He's right. I'll try it."
That's where kids get
Yeah.
Were they alive or were they?
Yeah,
dead?
no, they were alive. They were
They were
crawling
alive?
on the tree. Yeah, they picked them. The guy picked them right off and handed them to people one by one. He ate them first because we wanted
show
to make
you
sure.
the
Yeah, to
good.
show you the good. And then,
Add this to your chocolate ice cream. It's very good.
right, it came to my turn. And I was like, no, I'm okay.
They were minty. They were.
You
They
didn't
were.
try one?
I
thought-
didn't try one. No, I'm not gonna eat. I don't.
It's chocolate.
It's nice to know if I'm ever in a survival situation, I'll look for termites. But
Yeah.
I wasn't in a survival situation.
You got lions and you got sheep and you have shepherds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I will die. I had to do that survival in the service, and I will die. And, you take a little class on what bugs and what worms and there's actually some insects that you cannot eat because you will die. But I will just die because I'm not doing that. Even if it's
Really?
chocolate covered, I am not doing that.
Oh,
Termites really weren't so bad, though.
I don't know. I remember seeing like the scorpions and the
Yeah.
suckers. I could
Yeah.
never have done that, but the boys used to love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Or even the worms at the bottom of tequila.
Yep.
Nope, couldn't do that. Now, is that something you could do?
I wouldn't
If you
choose
got
to
to
do
the bottom
that.
of the
Yeah.
tequila, you might
Yeah, I was
be
gonna
doing
say.
that.
Why not?
Boys done that. Was it you or Anthony? One of them.
Probably
done that.
Anthony.
Definitely feels like an Anthony
Yeah,
thing.
definitely.
Even though, he doesn't drink at all. Even when we were younger, he really didn't drink at all. But when he did the crazy stuff. Like,
Right. Right.
Well,
Off topic a little bit. Sorry. Squirrel. Rabbit hole.
who is said to haunt the White House Rose Garden?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Apparently, it's haunted. And it's haunted by the ghost of First Lady Dolly Madison.
Really?
Mm.
Ooh, what is that?
Somebody's working.
The air
Field
compressor.
crew's working. Field crew's
What?
working.
This is the last one. What do the Halloween colors black and orange symbolize?
The moon and darkness.
Okay.
The moon in darkness is like,
Almost.
yeah,
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Orange stands for harvest and warmth, and black signifies death and darkness. Good job, Janice.
Sometimes I try. I know. It's,
So we went.
Is there a comment section in this? I feel like the comment section should let us know how close they think she was.
Yeah.
yeah, they can comment back. How close do you think it was? I'd say it was the moon.
So Last night we had a delivery in I pronounce it Hornitos because that's how it's spelled,
What do you mean a
California.
delivery? You had to
We
go deliver.
Yeah, we had to
Explain.
go
Yeah.
and deliver. So
For
we
the
do
clowns.
clowngrams throughout the year.
There you go.
And one of our friends, one of our cast members, former cast members, was opening up a shop in this little tiny town that has 300 people. Her daughter's opening up the shop, and she says this is going to be her grand opening weekend. Can you surprise her and bring a clowngram out? Sure, we'll come out. It's an hour away in the middle of nowhere, in California. I mean, like when I say the middle of nowhere, like there is nothing around. There's 300 people in this small, tiny, tiny town. And I've got my little 2-year-old with us. And when he realizes where we're at, and I get him out of the car, and he looks around and he says, "Is this Que Sera?" And that's the theme song for the show From. If you haven't watched it, you should watch the series From. It is so eerie. It's easy to get into.
And he is into it. When he said we're in my
He
house, he's like,
loves such.
there he hears a noise.
Don't judge us for letting our 2-year-old watch
It was
this.
funny though. He said, "Don't open the window. Don't open the curtain." Did you hear that?
That's what he told us. He said, "Is this Que Sera?" And he's looking around because you just hear this windmill turning, and I know his little 2-year-old imagination is just looking for the creepy people. He's like, "Mom, get inside." I'm like, "Okay."
Close the windows.
In this show, you're not supposed to be outside at all after
He
dark.
doesn't realize that the creepy people are the ones inside the car.
Well,
It's dark.
that's what I was
It's
thinking.
always
As I'm
dark.
walking in with him, he's gonna see his dad dressed as a clown, and he's gonna really.
Yeah. Well, before you left the other day, he was looking at his dad. No, that was when they were doing the film. He was out there. He said, "Daddy, Daddy, is that you?" And he's like, "Yes, bud, it's me." And then he's pulling his, he's getting ready to put him. And he's like, "Daddy, Daddy, is that still you?" And he's like, "Yeah, bud, it's me." And he said, "Oh, you're scary."
Too much. Travis, did you have a particular anything you wanted to talk about tonight before I get too moved on?
Going into your thing, there's some real exciting things actually in the world that's happening on that I think can benefit the haunt industry in the future. But we can go over that in the back
Well,
end.
Okay,
Let's
I'm
go.
gonna cover that. And
Are you done with your list?
I am done with I'm done with that. Was all of the trivia, 10 trivia questions for tonight. But as I was saying earlier, this is one of the biggest weekends for the haunt industry, one of the biggest shows in the industry. So most of the people from our industry are in St. Louis. And so I've been following the posts that I see like on Haunters Hangout or Haunters Toolbox or all the different groups that they have. And one of the coolest things that I've seen, it's called Haunt Dolls. Have you guys heard of this? They take your character, whatever it is. So I want to get Nibbles and them Haunt Dolls, and they make like their own action figure, little doll. And so you can like
So I
sell them in
seen
your
the
gift
booth.
shop.
Were they selling the booth or something? Because
don't know.
I seen a picture of the booth that said Haunt Dolls on it, and I didn't realize that's what it was. That sounds pretty interesting.
So you can get we can have little Nibbles Haunt Dolls. You can have little
Any character you have.
Sober Daves, little sober Daves
little
running around with
sober
1 foot,
Daves with one
One leg.
hopping around.
But you don't get a discount because it only has one leg, so don't even ask. Should be charged more.
Right.
Yeah. That's what they put there. That's crazy. That's cool.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It really is. So
So
I
do they
How did they look? How did they turn
How
out?
do they
Did you
have
see
it?
any?
Just
so it
like-
looks like their website is new. I don't know if it's a new company. I'm actually gonna send them an email and see if they're interested in coming on and sharing some of their stuff with us. But
Did anybody have any to show what they look like,
let's
or
see if I can find it. All I saw was the post, and then I went to their website, and their website is like Transworld 2025. But when you click on it, it says you need a password. So it's like they're still developing
still
their
developing,
website.
yeah.
So it seems, from what quick research I did was developing company, up and coming company. But I wish them the best of luck because I think that's a really cool concept, and I think it's going to be. I have a friend that can like crochet the ideas that I want, but not a lot of people want crocheted stuffed dolls.
Yeah.
Having an actual action figure, I feel like
Right.
is that what it is? It's like a plastic doll, though. So, oh,
You took
really?
Some of those
Interesting.
crochets to whatever trade show we went to, like you participated with your kids, but when we had some sitting out at our booth,
they all sold.
they
Yeah.
did really well.
I mean, I lost some, and then I found them, and so they're in Tennessee. So I either need to give them back to her or take them to another show and sell them. So
yeah.
Kimberly, if you're listening, I did find them, and we will put them on our next booth. But
Yeah, put a picture or two on here in case anybody else is interested. It's cool.
But
Very cool.
anyways, Travis, thank you for blessing us with your presence today. Share with us what's going on in the haunt world.
So it's not necessarily the haunt world; it's the world itself. You guys have you guys heard anything about quantum computing chips?
Yes.
I'm only
Can I get
Quantum
a
heard.
computing
It sounds like
chips.
something
quantum
I'd hear on
computing
The Big
chips?
Bang Theory.
Yes.
So it is. So there's without getting into too much detail,
Get into
because I'm
detail.
well, and I don't really know too much of the detail myself to like in a general layman term. Um, there is this atom that has existed that was perceived to be existed in since like the 1920s. Like there's we hadn't at the time we hadn't found it, but it was possible for this atom to theoretically exist. So they named it, and we have since found it. And since they found it, they started testing it on computer chips. And
I'm so sorry. We're just like, I think this might exist. Let's look for it.
well, because mathematically it was possible for the atom
Right.
to exist, meaning you know how when you take your science classes and you learn about atoms and protons and
Yeah.
neutrons to go to, and they can only get so big before they become unstable, and then you get radiation and all that. So
Yeah.
this atom was theoretically possible to exist, but we were never able to find it in the natural environment. So um,
Okay.
yeah, okay. So essentially.
It's like you say, it's like people with the oh
It's like we knew in that we were gonna one day be able to have this technology that we're doing right now, where we can do video chatting,
right.
but it was just a theory. It was they had never actually practically been able to do it. So since anyway, so they put this memory on this chip or used it for memory, and the computing power, the amount of data that they're able to use with this one chip, it's still brand new, developed in the last 10 days, 14 days. So obviously it's going to be a long time before it's out into the public use. But this is something you can look it up. It was Microsoft announced it. And once a chip is fully developed, it will. You think we took leaps and bounds in the last, think about the 80s on how big computers were. I mean, they were
Right.
the size of what we have in our iPhone is was a whole factory,
Right.
right? Okay, so this will take the amount of data that we have now. Think of our iPhones. Think of what we have in factories that are literally, thousands and 100,000 iPhones computer
Right.
power put up. This will take all of the data that we currently have in the world and put it down into one chip.
What about that? Like when you think about our defense systems, our ships,
Exactly.
like what we have to commute to
Seems
what the
kinda
computers
scary.
have to do to communicate with each other, like when we're in an active situation,
So
is a lot. You have to depend on the human and the computer.
it's scary. It
But
is.
now it brings it like when they say AI, this has the possibility of taking AI to a whole new
Yes,
level.
it
And the
turned.
Scary.
communication, it can be scary, but
They'll
in the
keep
right
Well,
human.
hands,
get
it
that
could be amazing.
exactly, and that's where you gotta that's what the real world thing is. You gotta think about who you're trusting to handle that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Um.
who actually owns this right now?
Well, there's tons of companies. It's just like the space race, right? There's
Right.
tons of companies fighting for this technology. It has been discovered. It's not obviously in working development, but it is
I
being
bet you it is
developed.
somewhere.
Yeah, well, to a minute scale. But the other thing that is really cool about this is that it computing power, right, is it talks to itself but really fast. So it's zero, one,
Right.
and
Right.
right, that's how it talks to itself. So like when you're doing a math equation, it'll do 1,000 math equations like that before we can do them in our head. That's
Right.
our current computing
Right.
power. This quantum chip power, what it does is it sends every possible question at once, and then the one answer will kick back, and it gets that power that in computer
Right.
speed like that.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the amount of computing power that this chip can do is I mean leaps and bounds more
Here's
powerful
I
than we can even imagine.
just gonna dumb this down
For me,
our
you
little
look at
kids.
me as you
I can remember being a little kid, and one of us would flick the light switch, and one of us watched the light. Like, oh, and one of my uncles, of course, let's go back, said there was a little man that ran and
Oh
turned the
my
light on.
gosh, you're so stupid. You believe
and you found out last year that that's not true.
Just, I remember this, and then I kind of in my mind, like you're saying, as I'm a little kid, I'm 56 years old now, and as things progress, like you said, from the 80s, we come a long way. But I remember, man, he's tired.
no.
Can you imagine how? First of all, it's not one little man anymore; it's an army of little men. They're tired.
So here's the reason why oh, go ahead.
No, I'm excited about that. The telecommunications and the situation reports to be able to come back faster, real time. Because when I'm talking knowledge for any company, could be your government, what have you not, you're almost getting real time knowledge the second it happens, or maybe even when somebody thinks it's going to happen, or when somebody's contemplating, I'm going to do this, and you already have the information that they're doing this. It's just crazy how the control, whoever has the control of that has the control, good or bad.
Right. It's scary technology, and as it's being it's a frontier. So as it's being developed, that's where we're hoping that the right people.
Right. Everything everything would be, if the right people have it, everything can be.
So as you're using
Utopia.
these services, make sure that you actually do research on the companies that own them, and make sure that you're giving the proper companies the data. Access to that you trust. Anyways, the reason I bring this up is because the world is obviously going to AI and to computing power. So if you are not integrating this into your business plan or your hunt, you really need to be studying on AI and taking some AI classes and understanding how to type in those queries to get the AI to respond the way that you want it to. Just as we were sitting here in the 2 minutes that I was looking at my phone, I just decided to pull up Chat GPT. Now I'm not advertising Chat GPT. They were Open AI is their handle, and they were one of the leading forefronts of the industry that most people know Chat GPT. In the last 10 days since they've done those things, there's been companies releasing new materials.
Right.
I think the forefront right now is Grok 3 just got released. So, and that's Elon Musk's
This could be more exciting
company.
than a Kennedy Files.
Yeah, Microsoft has one coming out, Apple has one coming out, Google has one coming out. In fact, Google searches now uses their AI to help find your things, so
You'll see it on your phone.
you'll get better.
Too,
Yeah.
on the AI.
Um,
On there.
So as we were sitting here, I gave a prompt to this. I said, "Can you help me design a California haunted house for $10,000 themed off phobias?" Now, we do a haunted house off of phobias. That's why I put that prompt in there. If you have a theme that you want to put in, you can do that. It gave me a designing break. It repeated my question to me, of course, and it gave me the theme, Nightmare Phobia House. Each room of the haunted house represents a different phobia, immersing guests in their deepest fears. The experience is designed as a walkthrough attraction with interactive scares, live actors, and special effects. Layouts for the rooms and themes. It says the entrance and queue area will be an arachno room, fear of spiders and arachnophobia. It tells you how to design this haunt. The reason I'm telling you
It
is
actually gives you a budget per room.
it breaks everything down for you. This is
We
why
gotta
I'm
do
saying
it
these
one
are.
more year.
Can you tell?
That-
Yeah. Because can you say to do it on a budget of
You can get it any, but wait, wait, because it gets even better. Okay, so it tells me, so for the first room it says giant hanging spider props, moving animatronic spiders, webs blocking pathways, hidden air blaster to simulate spiders crawling on video visitors, budget of $1,000, large spiders, animatronics, webbings, small spider props, and air blaster. Now. I'm gonna quickly go through the themes of the other rooms. I won't list off everything. Claustro room, if you're tight spaces. It tells you how to design it, narrow hallway, those kind of thing. Closing in, budget $500 with the inflatable walls. Now it does. You guys are hearing some of these props. You guys in this audience know what we're talking about. Not everyone necessarily goes. This is why AI is amazing, because you can talk to any professional in any industry, and AI is probably just smarter or on the same level of your comprehension as any professional that you will talk to in any industry. So it's really cool that it understands the haunt industry. The current
Right.
props that are out there is up to date. So it goes through all these. It goes through a doll room, goes through a snake pit room, a
Oh, you
darkness
guys can
maze.
visit us.
Yeah, a hospital of nightmares. It goes through a bug-infested room, a ghost corridor. So it even has your hallways and things in there. Clown chaos, and then it gives you an exit room. The final fear varies per night, so that you can see. This is good ideas that you may not have thought of. Varies per night, so that every night they get a different.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
So Kathy
cool.
had sent that to me.
Randomized final scare and surprise drop panel, a chainsaw actor, or an animatronic surprise. Budget $1,000, animatronics, props, bugs. Budget breakdown for $10,000. It breaks it down for us too. In category props and animatronics, $4,500. Lighting and sound, $2,000. Fog machine and effects, $1,000. Actor costumes and makeup, $1,200. Structural materials, walls, tents, PVC. Blackout curtains, estimated or accelerated, $1,000. Miscellaneous batteries, power source, maintenance, $300.
It's got to be thinking just one night though, for that employee part.
Oh, did it? No, 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 no. Actor costumes, not actors.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
like
okay,
the buy
okay,
the
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. This isn't taken
It's
into.
not
This is
it's not
designing.
payroll.
Yeah,
Just the
this is
design.
only design.
Gotcha.
Okay, so additional details. Location, use existing structure, barn, warehouse, or large outdoor tent to save on building costs. Actors, use volunteers or pay minimal stipends, $50 per night. Ticket charge $15 to $20 per person to recoup investment. So it gives you a bit generic business plan. Leverage social media influence walkthroughs and local event pages. Now here's where this is why I say it gets better. That was just the first the short question you guys heard me the trick the challenge for AI is this is why I say you need
The
to
design
go to
feature.
classes is to know the question that you're going to ask it. So you kind of have to phrase the question in a way that the AI totally understands. And each way you phrase the question, it can get a slightly different answer. So, but what I think is really cool is that AI is so smart that it gives us that short question that I quickly typed in did without any thought. It gave me this whole layout, this whole design, and then at the end of it, it asked me, would you like help with floor planning or actor scripts? Right? So it literally,
Oh,
right? These are tools that like we should be. This is
I
technology's
feel like
here.
we need to be at a trade show sharing this information.
That's what
Selling this information.
this podcast is for. So if you
Yeah.
guys haven't gotten any value out of this as a haunt, we're starting to kick off the haunt industry like builds. This is when you guys really need to be paying attention to the industry as a whole. Because everything comes out at Transworld. Like it's kind of like the Super Bowl. You start seeing the commercials beforehand, before Transworld. You start seeing what people are going to advertise, so you know what to buy. But you don't until you actually physically see it. You don't get the idea of how you can put it in your room, right?
right.
Right.
So you can physically see. Sorry, some of you do, but you get better ideas when you physically see it and you put it into action. So this is when you really want to start paying attention to the haunt industry. This next 2 or 3 months is what's going to really design your haunt and where you're at. So pay attention. Anyways, so I took it up on that offer. I said, can you help me with the floor planning and provide links for materials? So here's the thing. It gave me that budget per room. Um, it will provide me with I can have it give me a rough picture of what the room would look like based off of what it's given me. Give me the links for the props so that I can buy off of the exact budget that's listed in that picture.
Oh, how cool.
And get this, if there's sales or discounts or things on clearance, like say there's we all use cover drop like plant material, artificial, that kind of stuff. If that stuff is clearance anywhere that's on in its database, it will pull up that link so you can get the discounted material. So it's real right. You're talking about if you're not using a tool like this for your hunt, you are really missing out. Now you don't have to. It's take it for every
Right.
inch of its word,
Right.
but if you're not asking it the question, which took me 2 seconds to ask
And I
to
think
better your haunt, you're really missing out on
for
things.
the elderly generations,
But
I don't know how you say
look,
that.
it gives me some rough examples of pictures that to
It's
use
going to be harder for the older one.
floor
What
layout.
they call us for the older
Old people.
old
Uh,
people.
we're
Yeah,
not.
just
What
old
are
To
you?
jump on board.
Generation X?
Whatever you call me, I don't know what I am. You call me old all the time. It's going to be harder for the ones that have been doing this. Well, we do it, old school, and we
Am I
build
on
this.
fire?
Build,
What?
I just seen red behind me and I thought, oh, am I on fire? But
we're going to edit that out.
Sorry.
She's on fire enough for us to stop. It does look like you're on fire. Just saying.
So I just want to go a little bit. Are we going over time on anything?
No,
No.
no.
Okay, so here's since we asked it some more questions, it gave me some links and gave me the budget and the floor design and that things. The other thing it gave me was a floor plan overview, and so it said the haunted house is designed as a linear walkthrough with distinct rooms, each representing a specific phobia. This layout ensures a continuous flow of scares while maintaining crowd control and safety. Entrance queue area. The purpose is to set the mood and manage the guest flow. So this is really good. Like if you have first time actors or even just a script to give to your actors when you're first doing your interviews or when you first sign your contracts or you hire them, so they have an understanding of where they're at in the house, what the goal is for the room and what they're trying like, because sometimes we all have this where we hire an actor and we have this vision in our head of what we want the actor to do, and they might go way off script, and sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes you just can't get them back honed in. So this kind of helps you get that design that where you so that the continuity and the flow of the house all makes sense. They can kind of see where what your what the feeling should be, the vibe of each room should be. Anyways, it tells you like what each room, like what a customer should experience as they walk through. For example, like hey, this room, the snake pit has floor projections and slithering snakes, and so it wants you to have the sound machine of slithering snakes, right? And different elements, the darkness maze, a pitch black maze with unexpected turns, sudden loud noises and flashes of lights. So it tells you kind of like what the vibe is for the customer, what they should be filling. And then this is where itemize the materials and resources. So it gives me links. These are links to the estimated cost $100 to the sound equipment and everything that we would need. But remember, they said they would give us scripts. So I haven't read this yet because as we were typing or as we were doing this, I just typed in, "Can you give me actor scripts?" It says in each room. So we're hearing this for the first time all together. So we're just kind of just seeing how where AI is with a simple question. In the arachno room, it says active role, the spider keeper, position, hiding in the shadows, emerging subtly, props, long black cloak, spider covered gloves, fake spiders to throw.
Oh,
That's kind of cool, fake
Yes.
spiders to throw. Like,
Yes.
I don't necessarily know if we would have thought of that or if we wouldn't have thought of that, but it's nice just to have a general idea. Script. It whispering from the darkness. Do you feel them crawling on you?
Yes.
They like the warmth of your
And this
skin,
is the computer coming up with all of this. Like
right? And
and it's the same as humans. Like we think of these things and we all may think of them different, but it's like it's putting it all out there
but
for
now it's
you.
all written out for
Yeah.
right,
you.
it's
You
the
just
script
go
is done,
in.
and you can edit this. So if you're
Yeah.
something you don't like, you want a whole another field, you just type another question and it'll edit the script for you. But this one is cool. So it tells you what to do and how to do it. It says, say you're whispering to them, do you feel them crawling on you? They like the warmth of your skin. Of course, in a more creepy voice. And then it says suddenly throws fake spiders towards guests, then hisses and lunges forward. They're hungry. So it kind of gives you like that punchline, right?
Yeah.
So each room, and you can read through this. I kind of feel like maybe we might talk about AI again as we kind of play with it a little bit more. So we can go more into
Maybe
depth
the
on
rooms that
this.
we already have, I can create to that right
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. So,
Right.
and say you wanted a budget per room, like you wanted to do $1,000 per room,
Right.
or you only want to do $100 per room,
Like
or
right.
you're a nonprofit, and you do a free hunt for the night or whatever. You can literally tell I only have $100 or $1,000 total, and I want to get 7 rooms out of it.
Right. We should kind of commit to something. We don't have to do it tonight, but like we're doing an all new cornfield next year. So let's sit down and do something like that and follow it and then document as we go through it. Just, this is what it told us. This is what we spent. And
Yeah,
if we change anything, let's do that. Let's get the
that's
corn
really
planted
cool.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is sound really
I'm
cool.
I wa- I
That
al-
would be
I almost
something cool to
wonder
share.
Tell us the
i-
doll room.
if I could tell it to
Tell us the clown.
like I said, I want it to be 2,000 linear feet or 10,000 linear feet. I bet you it would probably populate something, and it's fast. I
Right.
mean,
If you give it your square footage of like we're
right.
using 2 acres or 5 acres and I want to do, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the more you play around with it, the more you do it.
I
You
think
said the doll
this
room?
week sometime we should sit down and talk about that for the new cornfield because right now we're just talking about planting the corn on those
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
So
good.
then that'll decide how many acres of corn we're going to plant. We're going to go 2, 5, 6, or
Right,
whatever.
we can. I'm sure if you give it yeah, how many acres you have on the property, how
And then
much you'd like
follow
for
back, yeah.
parking.
So as soon as we get the corn planted, then document it and
Right.
come back and follow so we can share.
That's a business meeting.
Actor. So doll room. Dolls. Pediophobia.
Yeah, that is what it's called,
Uh,
pediophobia. It's a weird name,
that's
but
a weird.
it's
That
a
would.
fear of dolls. It's called pediophobia.
Not what I would have thought.
That's
it
not
was.
exactly quite what I would have thought the name was.
Mhm. We were gonna make these little signs, and somebody stopped us. They're like, "Don't put that up there." And I'm like, "No, that's the fear of dolls. Like that's nobody thinks that that's
Right. No one thinks that's you. You probably shouldn't put that up there because nobody would want. They'd be like, I think I'm gonna exit.
Right.
I think I'm gonna skip this one.
Right.
Are you wearing a jacket?
Sissy Lala, you go first.
No.
No.
That's
Oh, that's bad.
okay. Actor
She
role.
kicked their butt.
Living doll. Position. Dressed as a life-size doll, sitting completely still until guests are close. Props, they're saying a porcelain mask, doll dress, jerky animatronic style
We were
movements.
spot on. The actor was spot. Good job.
Script. Soft monotype voice. Play with me, please. Suddenly stands up, tilts
That's where
head
the name come
violently, voice distorts. You can't leave. I don't like when my friends leave. So it just kind of gives you some script. Of course, you can add on to these, or say you like these rooms and you say, hey, I like room 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7. Redesign the other rooms, and it'll do it in a heartbeat. Or you can say, can you give me more detail on room number 3? Or more script.
That's
AI is just really cool.
So
a
does the
cool tool.
conversation stay saved, or do you?
So here's the cool thing about AI is that the more it is used, the smarter it gets. So the more that everyone in the industry uses it, the smarter it is going to get when it answers those questions for you, with you. It does remember your conversation. So the more information that you give it to, say you're like a lawyer or something like that, and you're in this industry, you're giving it. You can submit links to it for it to study and learn more about these props and things like that. So it gets smarter for your industry
It's just like the
and
human
shapes
brain.
you.
Like we
Right.
don't know what we don't know, but the more we are talking
Right.
about it,
And it doesn't forget. Because how many times you've been in this industry for a long time, and sometimes something comes back around, you're like, oh yeah, we used to do that. I forgot we used to do, or that's why we used to do that. AI
that's
doesn't
why we
forget.
don't do that anymore.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we used to have a lot more. Of course, we had a different build team, but we used to have a lot more animals, or the blowers and stuff like that. And I miss that. I like that. I'd like to bring some of that back, especially more the cornfield for the
Yeah.
budget this year. But I'm excited. I really am excited. And what I was said, I don't know if I.
Oh yeah, we cut you off.
You
I
did
think
good.
you're not
I
a
think
boomer though, are you?
I don't know what the hell I am.
think you are.
I'm
Gen X.
I'm
Gen
Gen-
X.
I'm just like I said.
Boomers
Jojo
were
every morning.
1946 to
Hey, Jojo, it's
1960.
me, Nanny. That's what I am. That's all I can say.
Right.
Hey, Jojo, it's me, Nanny. Every morning, that's what I say. And he says, "Hey, Nanny, it's me, Jojo."
All right.
My thing is that I want to say is I can see the younger generations jumping on that, and I would have pushed back a couple of years ago, but now, not that I'm computer savvy or what have you not, uh, but I can see the tools, this making things so much easier. There's a lot of things that I do push back when they want to go on computer or something. Like, I don't think Uncle Sam needs to know every penny we make, and I shouldn't say that out loud, but he does. And the kids want him to see everything on a paperwork. I'm like, oh, everything he sees, he just wants more. Same with your insurance and taxes and everything. Anyways, I think with this program, you'll have the younger kids jumping on board like, this is amazing. We got to do it. And it's not the lazy man's effect. It just cuts that work that we'd be doing in half. So I think it's real. I would like to document what we do to show it is easy. You can follow us. Look, because you guys both know how many times you time a ticket, and I'm like, we don't need that. We don't need that. And once we did, I was like, why didn't we do that years forward? And you guys, because you don't
No.
listen to us.
No one ever said we don't need that. Just I said it every
No,
step
I
of the
said-
way.
I said, I'll be the first one to say, we don't need that.
So
It's
let me
like,
let me
you-
flip the gears just a minute, because as we were bringing this up and you were talking about all the new advances and everything, it reminded me of we're gonna go back in history, and I want to bring you guys. I'm gonna ask you guys a question, okay? And I'm gonna individually answer it for me, okay?
Okay. What's the question?
In order, how were these invented? Okay, there's 3 items: the microwave, the fax machine, and the telephone.
I remember the microwave was invented from the radiation. The guy had his chocolate in his pocket when he was testing um, the radiation, and he realized it melted his pocket. So in microwaves, he was testing
Right.
microwaves, and then that's why they decided. That's how they figured out it could warm up food. Yeah. And then
So
what was
what?
the other two?
So in order, what? Not you don't have to know the years, but in order, how were they invented?
I would say
What was the three again? I forgot.
Telephone, the fax
microwave,
machine.
and the fax machine. No, I feel like fax machine might have been invented first, but you need the telephone to have the fax machine, don't you?
Because you did.
Well, just you tell me how. In what order do you think?
But is a telegraph the same as a fax machine?
I'm gonna go telephone.
Fax machine. He's saying.
I'm gonna go telephone, microwave, and then fax
Yeah,
machine.
that's the order I was gonna go.
What do you think?
I'm thinking the same thing. It might have been the fax machine first.
Because I'm trying to think about when did
Microwave fax. What do you
Okay,
got?
so the microwave was invented in 1945.
Okay.
Okay. Crap.
The microwave
Okay.
was probably last.
The Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone March 7th in 1876. Oops, hold on a second.
Well,
you guys
see,
were
but
alive?
And
here's
the
the thing.
first fax machine was invented by a Scottish inventor, Alexander Bain, in 1943.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What are we classifying fax machine? Because I also feel like a telegram
Well, okay, so it says
is
here,
kind of a fax machine
Bain's
'cause it-
machine called the electric printing telegraph used pendulums and electric signals to scan and transmit images over the telegraph lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So that goes back to, oh my gosh,
because
what have we got?
telegraphs.
Right.
I'm so sorry, but to telegraphs was just like
The words.
Morse code, and you had
Yeah.
somebody on the other end making the words.
Right.
But this was actually taking an
Yeah.
image,
This
drawing.
was taking an image,
sending,
and yeah,
okay.
it was able to do that.
It was like
and
the first screen.
So that was in
Yeah, like
19.
first
That was in
screenshot.
19. Yeah, the first screenshot in 1943. So technically, it went the fax machine, the telephone, and then the microwave.
1843 then.
1843. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because when you said 1943, I was like,
No,
oh,
I'm.
I
So,
didn't know.
is that what I said all
Yeah.
along? Yeah, no, 1843. 1843.
So the fax machine came first.
The fax machine, the telephone, and then the microwave. Yes.
Do you know how many times a week we get told, like, you don't know, you were born in the 1900s?
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
once a week at least, sometimes twice. Like,
What's funny?
that's what makes me feel old. I mean, I don't really feel old except for the aches and pains I have. And then I get around some of these kids and they say, well, that happened in the 1900s. You don't know.
My grandma, I remember being younger, and my grandma would say, "You just wait. When you have kids, they're going to say you were born way back in the 1900s." And I thought, I've never once said to my parents, "You were born in the 1960s." Like I've never said that to you
Right.
guys. I don't think.
Grandma
And then
did.
I hear my kids all the time. Can you believe you were born in the 1900s? I'm like, how do you know? You
A
wouldn't
whole
know.
100 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. The significance, well, I guess now that we're in the 2020s, 2025, yeah, it seems like,
When we were
Folks
at
is
the
reading.
when the millennial, you remember like Y2K and the world was
yes,
gonna
yes.
end?
I was hoping
remember.
my credit score would go away.
Oh, it was during that New Year's party, and Grandma was like, "You were
Just
born in the
wait.
1900s. Your kids are all gonna be
Yeah.
born in the next century. At least I was born in the same century as my kids."
Yeah. Same,
Right?
you know. Jeez.
Yeah,
The
but
only one
she
that-
probably did the same thing to her grandma, is why she knew that.
Probably that's how
Right,
she
could
knew. I didn't. I just have never even thought. Like I
probably thought
might have
it-
said my parents are old or whatever. Well, my parents were never older than me. They were always. They're
We-
only 17.
We
years
grew up with you. Yes, we grew up. We raised each other. So, yeah, I think the only one that made me feel weird about my age or being a parent, just not even a young, but this one's sitting right here. And I remember in 5th grade, he was needing help with his homework or his math homework. And I remember going to stand behind him. He goes, I don't need you. You cannot help me with this. I need my dad. I'm like, this really was, wait until JoJo does this to you. 'cause
That had
this
nothing to
was
do with
for
your
me."
age. It was just you didn't know how to do the math.
Well, he was something like, it was a long time ago you went to school. You can't help me with this. I'm like, what? Okay. You wait for
Did
your
you?
dad.
Could you help me?
You didn't even let me see it.
Yeah.
You already assumed that I was too old. Well, I'm just a few
Or
months
just
older
not.
than your
You
dad.
just didn't think
Yeah.
you were smart enough.
She asked why there was letters in the math problem, and I knew right then.
Right?
I said, "Okay, we're done here."
Just save us the fight here.
Just
Oh
let
my
me see the
goodness.
papers and just let me see it. I need
Right.
my dad. Just wait, Heather.
We had a kid say, one of our babies, they had to go poop and they needed their dad because it was a strong one. I was like, I can help
It
you.
was
What's wrong?
They needed a strong one.
To wipe or what? I'm so
They
confused.
needed-
To hold her stomach? Hold it. What do we need help with?
I couldn't help him
TMI.
because it was a strong one.
You know what? I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Go get the other parent.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
it
walking
is.
out at
Oh
this
my God.
point.
Okay, so if you're going to tell poop stories, Kenzie was screaming from the bathroom in the bunkhouse, Nanny, come here. And at that time, I couldn't come right away. I was on the couch and I had heating pads on. And I was a lot of pain. And Alicia said, "Can I come help you?" And she's like, "Well, I guess." And Alicia said, "What do you need? You need somebody to wipe your butt?" And she said, "Yes." And almost, you have to ask Alicia, like, "Are you capable of doing that?" And so Alicia had wiped her butt and then washed her hands and said, "Now you need to wash your hands and make sure you wash your hands before you come out of there." And Kenzie said, "You wiped my butt. Why do I need to wash my hands?" Like, what the hell's wrong with you kids, Heather?
She's said that her whole life. She's very capable of it too, but she's has some regression things. If the other one's getting his butt wiped and he's 2 years old, and then she thinks she needs her butt wiped too. Like, it's not a pampering business. Like, you just
Residue.
Let's hope she outgrows that.
Yeah. They need to get back to Tennessee for that button that just
You
pushes
get
and does
you get a
that.
phone call from her high school.
Well, apparently she can't go to the bathroom at the school anymore because she goes in there and strips down to wants her
No,
privacy.
she cleans the
she
restroom.
cleans it.
This
She was going in there for 20 minutes at a time, and the teacher said, what does she do? Does she have a problem? Does she?" I said, "I'm so sorry. She does strip completely down if she's going number two." And so I talked to Kinsley and I said, "You can't got to keep your clothes on." I do keep my clothes on. I don't go poop at school. And I said, "Well, what are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm cleaning the bathroom." And she goes, "There's 2 toilets in there." I'm like, "That's not your job."
Come home.
Yeah, come
she didn't even do that here, does she?
No.
Put the cleanse
She
wipe
just thought they should be so proud of her for doing that.
Yeah. Helping them out for all those other nasty
she
kids.
couldn't understand why they were mad. They should be happy.
But she was skipping her reading every
Oh.
day to go and do that because she wasn't
That's-
struggling
yeah.
in reading.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
anyways, the world is going into a very interesting place, and we can use it as a tool to help us grow our industry.
Now we can just figure out how to get AI to wipe her butt. We'll be okay.
I'm sure it has it.
It's-
Tennessee.
With that, just what I'm saying with that
It's
shit.
true.
It's not
Yes,
either.
the toilets, the people from the neighborhood come to sit and use. I'm like, no. So one of the little girls down the street wants to come over to Heather's house and goes upstairs to use the bathroom. I'm like, why? Because it'll do it for you. No.
Fancy pop. And
Well, spend the night
honestly,
with the kids so they
once
can
you
sit on
get,
that.
if you do not have a bidet yet, you should definitely invest in one. Once you sit on a heated throne, you will never want to sit on a cold potty
You
again.
might have something there. I don't know, but I don't think I need to
They're
invite the
worth
neighborhood.
every-
I don't think the
they're not
neighborhood needs to
very
come over and share
expensive.
it
I
with
think
you.
they're like 60. I mean, we might have gotten
So
a
you
little
wake
bit
up in the
more
middle of the night and there's another 6-year-old, 5-year-old that's not yours. Opening your door and running through your bedroom like, what are you doing? I'm going to use the bathroom. No.
And does that one spits out warm water too, doesn't it?
You can control the temperature, you can control the pressure, and it even has a button and it blow dries for you. Like, so you literally don't have to do anything.
I don't know.
All right, should we end with something hot related?
Where? Yeah, right. Oh, we got enough poop talk here. Where's Gary? What's happening with Gary?
So director Gary has been busy shooting his film. He's just a few days away from finishing shooting his second full-length film called Junkman.
It actually looks like it's going to be a very fun movie. The clips that I've been looking at looks like it's going to be a good action movie, is what it looks like, right?
So I haven't.
Do we get a what is it called? A studio review? Do we get to watch it before it hits?
I hope so. I just hope he can.
Forward on
He
it?
still focuses on our movie, but he's been busy. He's shooting 2 movies. He's got that movie that. So we record our podcast on Sunday nights, and Sunday days is when they shoot. So because they're so close to being done, they've been extending their days, and that's why Gary has been gone. He was supposed to record his review and send it in to us, but he probably didn't, because last night we did on Saturday we did some shooting for our film, and he was so excited to edit parts of that. So I think he got preoccupied. Gary's got a little bit of adult ADHD and he can't stay. He has to have an actual printed list with time schedules, I think, in order to stay on each task.
Which Heather's pretty good at doing.
Yeah.
Which AI will do for you now.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Well, he's been learning a lot of editing
studying.
stuff from
It,
AI.
if you are not incorporating AI technology, if you are still in the workforce and you are not doing anything, just familiarizing yourself with any aspect of AI, just start
Yeah.
using
Actually,
something. You are
even
going to
with
be in a
this
world of
podcast, and Gary, he does not like the AI portion of the podcast because I will like go through and take out the mutes and like you can have it go through and take out all the mutes or all the long pauses, and he's like, no, it sounds too robotic. Just leave it all in. He wouldn't even edit out like dogs coming in like we
Yeah.
would.
Like
But
this happened.
yeah, but
And she just went, and the doors popped open. She's like, okay, and then went back out.
But I thought we went from we had a little 2 year hiatus, like 18-month hiatus of the podcast. And during that time frame, the technology had improved
Yes.
so much. So before we would have to go in and manually type in what we'd want. Okay, this section we're talking about this and this section. It pulls up automatically as soon as we're done and I hit where it's end recording, automatically it has a whole transcript of everything we've said on this. The little tabs will say like Nanny Janny's spiritual story of the week. It knows all of our segments as soon as I post it. When we shift gears and we start talking about something else, it creates a little tab so it knows exactly what it is. In fact, it even has things that say, "This was kind of off subject. Would you like to edit this part out?"
Oh.
So
I can't wait to see the tabs for this week's episode.
This is to be crazy, crazy. But I don't know if you guys forgot about me. Hello, I've been waiting to share this because Leica's really gonna love this.
Okay, share with us your super paranormal story of the week.
So you know that we were talking to Leica, and we were talking about childhood experiences and the things can children see. What was Casey? It was Casey in here. Sixth Sense, the movie, and they were talking about what the kids can experience, what they see. I shared a little bit about mine. Like I can remember um, on the playground, and we lived in a little neighborhood, but it had a park that like the kids could all go to, and usually the parents weren't there. My parents were probably never there. I don't know.
It's not like now where the parents are like hovering.
Yes, yes.
And if you take a step back, the parents are all judging you like, hey, your 10-year-old's over there on the slide. Like,
Or hey, your 2-year-old is running in the parking lot.
no.
Out of the
Again?
restaurant.
Again.
Your 2-year-old.
I can't the 2-year-old.
Your 2-year-old just ran out of the restaurant.
My 10-year-old can't be on the swing without me being up her butt. Like, seriously.
Right there. Anyways, I think I shared. I know I shared this because I've shared a lot of things with you guys. I can remember coming home with these kids from the park because they wanted to see my pet monster and my friends, and I can remember marching upstairs and getting them and coming back, and my mom and my grandma were there, and they're like, "What are you doing?" They don't believe I have pet monsters, and going to the door, and I think the whole shock of it, like they laughed at me, like here I am, this is my pet monster.
And there was nothing there.
They were there.
I know, but
They were there. They were there. They were there. Anyways, to go back to, do kids actually see? And so it's kind of not, I don't know how to say this. It didn't bother me, but other things happened. I had some procedures done, and I
We're
had
talking about it on a
I'm
podcast 45 years later. It
No.
bothered you
Yeah.
quite a bit.
No, because when we were talking about kids and what they can see, and like I said, I could see him, or I thought I could see him, and I could hear him, and this is a voice. And then they put me on psychotic medication, and so now I don't know if it was what I really seen or not. And I do believe that the spirits and the orbs and the other entities or kids are more open to it than adults because our brains are not as cluttered with all this stuff, and society is not telling us that's not normal. As you get older, it says that's normal, not normal, that shouldn't happen. I had a really weird experience, and I'll share this later. I was doing an MRI, and something happened in my brain that never happened before, so I want to talk to Leica about that. But I know that when I seen, not that I'm psychotic, but okay, a little bit. But I know what I had seen in kids that have seen these, and I know that I've seen them. I know that I've had my siblings have seen experiences. I know my kids have seen experiences. And then I started researching on what do they say about kids that see or say they see ghosts or other people or what have you not. And there is so much, I didn't realize there was so much controversy on that. But if there's controversies in different aspects, like there's 40 stories that I've read about psychologists and that how you to deal with it. And some are saying it's normal. And then some are saying if your kids are seeing that, they need to be on medication. And that's not, kids are kids. And I don't think they need to be medicated if they're saying, hey, I see dead people. Um, anyways, and that was when like, for like, I really do believe, going back and reading the things, I do believe that she thinks, seen things as a kid if she believes that she's seen them. I know I did. And I don't want to say I'm not crazy because we all know I am, but it says a child seeing ghosts often attributed to the combination of their active imagination and the developmental stage where they might not fully grasp the concept of reality versus fantasy. And I get that.
Hmm.
I understand that. I think at certain ages, you know, they have psychotic people that really are hearing voices, or maybe they're
What if they're
demonic.
not? What if they're not?
That's what
What
I'm
if
saying.
it's
Well, then
just
then
real?
that's when they
Like they really are hearing things and we think they're psychotic, but
yes,
it's really another realm.
that's what I'm saying with Leica, because she said, so somebody said, oh no, you heard something, let's just medicate you. You know what I'm saying? If she wasn't providing self
But
harm,
regardless, it helps you to not hear that anymore, so you can have a
back
functional
focus
life.
on, and that's the people that are saying that children do see that. That's basically what they're saying, of the influence in the developmental stages, and goes like it's a whole rabbit hole that you can go to, and it goes on. It talks about imaginary friends, like we talked about, and what I wanted to get to also was, like it says, if your child says, "Hey, I seen a ghost," or "There's somebody outside my window," there really could be somebody outside your window. It could be spooky, but it could be like you said, que sera. Don't open the
Mhm.
don't open the window. Don't open that curtain. Like Joe just says, don't open that. Um, there really could be something to it, but it says, stay calm and talk with the child. Talk, because a lot of times, I'm reading it and they just say you didn't see that. Well, how do you know you've seen that? But let the child just share their story about
Yeah.
what this. And so going back to, like, I'd like to actually say, what did you see? Share your stories. What did happen? Like, because she was, when we talked to her, she just like closed up. Oh, I thought I'd seen things, and was, and she goes, but then they told me that I was psychotic, so what'd you say? They started giving me psych meds or something like that. And I was like, oh, how sad. But maybe she really does need him to quiet the
She
Yeah.
did that. She did that on the podcast.
Yeah.
We had this discussion on the
Yeah.
podcast.
I think we also need to be careful because we are dancing a fine line here. If you are over 13 and you are on medication, we are not saying
Oh,
do not take your
absolutely not.
medication. Okay,
Absolutely
we are
not. I'm sorry if
definitely
I
stay
came
on your
that way.
medication.
I think that's what my point was. Whatever age you if that medicine is helping you to
Yeah.
not have those thoughts or those feelings or feeling like you're seeing dead people, whether they were real.
Yeah,
or
because this
not,
realm
it's
is
Right.
hard enough
Well,
to
and
get
then-
through. They have to worry
And
about
guess
talking
I
to
jump
people from
around
other
because
realms.
I'm really not the greatest at this, because I get excited about some points. But it does say, to sum it up, distressing experiences. If your child has experienced significant fear or anxiety related to seeing ghosts, or if it's impacting their daily life, consult a child psychologist. And then it goes on to saying if they have frequent hallucinations and stuff. So there is a line between, the kids seeing things and kids with issues. Um, but I really do think that there's more. Like I said, there was 40 stories that we were talking about, or that we were looking up, that where the kids had seen something and they were just shut off right away, because I think some could be like you. We don't even want to open that route. We're too feared. Don't you know you didn't see that, or what?
it's not that I don't ever tell my kids, no, you didn't see that. It's like, we don't acknowledge that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not, I let them tell me what they think they saw. Okay.
And that's what it says. Tell them. But if it's fearful form, or they don't really can grasp the concept between, reality and fantasy, or what I'm saying, it just
Yeah, because I have a 2-year-old who will hang from the bar above our bed, and he's Spider-Man every night. So,
what kind
like,
of bar is
should
above
we
your bed?
medicate him because he's
Yeah, what
Spider-Man?
let's talk about this bar above your bed.
It's a handle for, well, we're staying in an RV, and you open up the cupboards.
Yeah.
It's a cupboard bar.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what it is. What is that called? A handle.
Okay. Yeah.
No idea.
The cupboard.
The handlebars
closet
above
door handle.
the handlebars
Closet
above
door
their bed.
handles.
So, wait, you're having your child hang off of the cupboard door?
He is.
Yeah.
We hold his legs. and
So
he-
you're encouraging.
No.
So I don't think it's the child that needs the medication.
But he's telling us I'm Spider-Man, so that it doesn't break. But my
Because he's going
hands
to do
on
it
the box.
anyways.
He's
Yeah.
gonna do it anyway, so I give him the support so that it's not his whole weight on those things.
Right. So it
And
doesn't.
you
Right.
try to tell him stop, but he wants to. Everyone was Spider-Man when they were 2 years. I don't know what kind of childhood you had, Travis, but I mean, we try to let him have a little bit of fun in there.
Travis with Aquaman.
Yeah.
Was he?
You obviously were not home enough.
Aqua.
Well, he had
the
that
water.
water
Oh, the
hose.
water hose.
So,
Davey.
that what is interesting to me is at the end of life and at the beginning of life, both of them are known and recorded to see
Yeah.
spiritual beings.
Yeah.
But in the middle, we kind of close it off, or
And-
we don't acknowledge it, or
Right.
some people do, and then we think that they're kind of weird, or like, and I say, the general population would think that
Right.
they're kind of weird. I think that that's interesting,
Right.
but I don't want to do it for myself. Like, I don't want to interact.
Right. And definitely culture influence. Like the Native American Indians, they really believe that, these spirits are your guardians that are watching over you. So it goes by the cultures too when you break it up to that. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. I don't have that note here. What do they call the Indians? Hindu? I don't know. It's from India. And they believe, like, some cultures believe if a person dies, they reincarnate in the next,
Seek is what you're looking for?
the next pregnant woman. The next one that has a baby, that person's been reincarnated in them.
Oh, that's like a belief in that religion?
Yeah, like they don't,
In the
they
Sikh
could, they're not that they do, they could. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not familiar with this, so if anybody wants to correct me,
It was
correct me.
Manny that was explaining to us, but that it based on that you have to graduate your life cycles in order to get.
So if that person wasn't a
heaven.
good person, if anybody was pregnant, they would not go to the funerals. They would stay out of the
Oh, because they don't want that person.
right. That yeah. So
How interesting. I never knew that.
yeah. So in some cultures,
You
like I
didn't
said,
know
it
you were
it is if you see a spirit, that's a good thing because that spirit's there to guide you and help you. And in some cultures, like Heather said, we just close it down. Like, no, you didn't see that. You didn't see it. And I think really it is how often you are to it. And now I'm gonna have to go down a whole new rabbit hole because I did know that children see it and adults see it are more open to it that the closer you are to death. But really, why is that?
Because you're going back to the other side. I don't know. It might.
You want to make sure that it's prepped for you or whatever. But like I know that we've had grandkids that have seen pictures or say, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
their nanny or whatever," and they've never even met the person because they were long past.
I have a niece that was looking at a picture my grandmother probably died 10 years before my niece was
2004.
born. And my niece was born in, I guess 8 years before my niece was born. But we didn't really have her pictures up or talk necessarily about her to Raylan. And she was going through pictures. She was
Before
two
that,
at the
you'd
time.
see her in the corner, like in the crib, looking up to the corners, laughing and smiling and stuff.
But she was going through. She found a picture that was in like a shoebox, and she goes, "Oh, there's my nanny," and it was our nanny that she was seeing, and that picture that she's seen. They do look similar. You do look similar to your mom and your dad, but in the picture it wasn't similar looking.
Right.
So
Right.
it is kind of weird.
So if you have any information that you want to share, any experiences that you have, your beliefs that the culture experiences you have, what you believe, share with us. hauntafterhours@gmail.com. We'd like to share some of your stories also on here. And then maybe we can have you as a guest if you have some pretty cool stories you'd like to share or self-experiences.
Travis, do you have any recent supernatural stories?
Well,
I'm just asking.
oh, dude.
You never get on the show, so
You want to share?
everyone
And
of
you
us
live
at some
in
point
you live in an old town,
Yeah.
an old cowboy town.
I
There's
don't-
lots
I
of
don't-
supernatural activity in that town.
I don't feel like I pay attention enough to
I don't either.
recognize any of that. I'm just too busy.
I will tell you this though, and I told these guys, my siblings over the last week, I guess.
Yeah, I was just gonna go into that. That's the only thing I've gotten.
Yeah,
I'm like,
did you find one?
Yeah, on the
we
cruise.
we were the first one to think on the cruise.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So my mom recently passed away. She passed away on New Year's Eve, and she was a huge believer that when she found a little white feather, that it was one of her sisters leaving her a reminder. And so she, when she knew it was her time coming, that she told everybody, just look for the feathers, look for the feathers, and remember me. Just know that that's a gift from me. Now I haven't found one. Of course, we live on a farm where there's chickens and there's feathers all over the place. So
I
I
was
just
just
sort of,
going to say to you, I was with you. We were in the kitchen. The first time I ever seen it,
I know.
we were in the kitchen and there was a feather on the ground. I said, "Oh, look. Do you think this is this is a sign from your mom, or do you think this is just a feather from out there?"
And
And
what did I say?
you just I don't know, but I know that it was just a
Wait,
little tiny
was this
feather.
last weekend when
It
when
was a
his
couple
mom
weeks
was worried about him? When
It was a couple weeks ago, and it was right by your chair, and I was like, "Oh, look, this feather." So you have,
I
Yeah.
don't know. I
I
haven't
have
paid
seen.
I haven't paid attention to it in all honesty, but my siblings have sent. We have a family text, and so they all of them, every one of them, one at a time, has sent a picture of a little tiny white, and they're always fluffy feathers.
I gotta say, the first feather I got was a little was the that I was after my grandma passed away was very small, which I said these are small feathers for.
Well, that was she liked the little ones, the
Yeah.
little
Yeah, she
tiny
did.
ones. That's what was
But
her
the one
favorite. And
that
then they
Chris,
had to be fluffy. They had to be fluffy
Yeah.
feathers. So,
Well, they didn't have to be, but that's what's her favorite.
well,
That's what
those
she
were her
liked,
favorite
yeah.
ones. Yeah,
So
I
she would
guess.
collect and put in a little bit.
but I do think that uh-oh,
What does that mean?
I don't know.
No internet.
Oh, the weather got bad enough.
Hold on.
It's not touchscreen.
It says oh, it's not.
No, just hit that button in there.
What button? The inner?
No, it's a mouse.
Hit refresh.
There you go.
A little bit of technical difficulties. My mom saying hi, I think.
I have two feathers. She said.
That's what she said. I don't think you could get any more clearer message than like a psychic coming through and saying, "I gotta talk to that guy right there." Like, I seen you being grumpy the other. That's what she said. She said, you're supposed to have Saturday off and you weren't resting. Like, how could you get more clearer than that?
Oh, that's probably true.
Oh, yeah.
I was a little stressed last week. That's a fact.
I will say that he is. Oh yeah, you're stressed every week.
I am.
Did you see my eye roll? I'm just kidding. You really are stressed. I will say this. He's not like I've always been a believer. Like you have a ghost in your house and you see it float by. You say, "Oh my gosh, did you see that? You guys, something wrong with you guys." He says, or you guys have active imaginations. And there's 6 people living in a house and 4 people see it, and he don't. But I know.
All I know is that when I have people saying, "Oh, did you see that ghost go by?" And I hear an engine driving down the street, and I'm thinking, "Okay, yeah, yeah, it had nothing to do with the car making that corner." Yeah,
That's hearing. And when we
So
say,
what
"Do you
about-
see it?" But premonitions. Like I know when my mom was alive. Like if I had dreams, and I knew there's certain dreams that I have, and if I dream in color, and I don't think I've ever even talked about this on the show. If I dream, and it happens 3 times, and I feel it. There's a difference. Everybody dreams, but there's just a different type of dream that you have. I know it's going to come true. I just know. And when I was younger, I used to tell my mom this, and I think my mom kind of thought I was crazy too, but that's okay. But when Anthony and I got married, like it took a couple of years, but then I started sharing it with him. Like something's going to happen. I remember specifically one incident, and it happened 3 times. Like something, 2 actually, and it did. And I think now I do know when I have these dreams, if like I have to tell somebody. So see, it is true. Like it does validate. And I think he was a little bit more open to it now. Like you can prove something. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I think you are more skeptical than most people of believing in things.
I don't
But
know.
now you have somebody like in your circle that's passed, so you'll be more open
Yeah,
to those kind of
that's
things.
true.
But
Yeah.
I do know, I know there was a feather right by your chair, and I seen it, and I was like, "Oh, that
Did you keep
that's
it?
not for me. That is for you. Do you see that feather there?" And I picked it up and I set it by you, and you just stared at. But we have chickens and stuff, so but they're way
Where else
out
do
in the
but
field.
where else do feathers come from? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Where else do they come? Of course we have chickens. Everybody, lots of people have chickens, but where do you expect the feathers to come from? How do you? She just dropped them. I'm gonna pluck Gabriel's feathers.
Like,
I don't know. So one of the things with my mom that really bothers me, I will tell you this, is that she was a huge believer of like you had said, at the end of life, people would come and they would visit, and, welcoming you in. And I remember in her final days that we would talk, and she would say, "Today's not the day. Today's not going to be the day because I haven't had any visitors." And so I knew she was waiting for visitors, and she never got visitors. So I feel very bad for her about that, because on the last day when we all gathered, and keep in mind now, she was very coherent. She was actually, on her last day, she was laughing. She knew that was going to be her last day. She knew, because her heart was just giving out, and they had her on medication. Not she wasn't loopy. It wasn't pain medication of any sort. They just had her medication to keep her heart rate up. But she knew that eventually that they would have to let that drop, and she would go. And
Do you think that's a good way to go, or do you
I think she went the best way. If I
For her.
when,
Yeah, if you
when
could
it is
choose
my turn,
a way
that's
to
how
go,
I
I
would.
agree.
Yeah, because
No
she was able
family
to
by her
say
side.
she was able to say goodbye to everybody that she wanted to. She laughed and she had a good time. She hugged and kissed everybody, and she went peacefully. So I'm
So
very
it is
blessed.
interesting. Her sister had died a few months before, and the sister had said that the previous sister who passed away was coming to get her
Her.
and Charlotte,
Yeah.
which
So
is the grandma.
who was the previous? It was Arlene, right?
I don't know, but the there were 7 sisters, and
Emily.
at the time,
Was
2
it
of them
empty?
had
Yeah,
died.
but I think
Tina.
Aunt Florence. Oh,
It was-
Tina, that's what
yeah,
it
it was
was. So
Arlene,
yeah, so it was
Emily,
Aunt
Tina.
Florence was visited by my Aunt Tina supposedly, and she told my mom to pack. Tina said, "Pack your bags. You're next. You're coming. We're going to go to be
And
with
there
her."
were still 4 remaining siblings,
Yeah.
so it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but I think I'd say that to my sister too. I'm just kidding.
But
I do just
that
feel-
would be
Joke around.
heartbreaking to know, like, especially that sister, got a visit. Like, it'd be like your
Right.
least favorite sibling got a visit from somebody and you didn't.
Why she just and
You
I don't know
should-
why
you guys
I don't
all
know why
left.
that bothers me, but it just bothers
And
me.
some-
You don't know that you guys all left the hospital. You don't know who came and visited.
I do visit.
You know?
I do follow some hospice nurses online. They're just interesting. And one of them, she has said, like, some people will wait for visitors, and they may even. So you're anticipating this grand story or an orb or whatever, but when the visitor comes, it's not even acknowledged. It's not about what you know. It's about what they know. You know?
Right.
I just remember on times during that last day when there were certain points during the day that the doctors would make us leave the room so that they could do the procedures they needed to do, and I could see her looking around,
Waiting.
waiting, like, is this it? Is this the time?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's kind of heartbreaking to me a little bit, but like I said, from
She could have been
the
visited,
family,
but didn't want to look like the crazy person talking to
I don't
the
know,
dead
maybe, I don't
people.
know, but I think she would. I think she would have said, because she was wanting us to be at peace. That was her most important
Yeah. She wanted
thing,
kids
was she
to-
wanted to make sure that we were all at peace with what was about to happen. And because she already was. She was ready to go. She told us all along. She says, "I've had a great life, and I couldn't have asked for a better life, and I'm ready. I'm worried about your dad. I'm worried about you guys, but I'm not afraid to go." So she was not afraid to go at all. And so I'm happy about that. But anyways, that's where we're at this point. That was kind of my
Still watching for feathers.
yeah. So
That was
over the
quick.
last they sent all 3 of them have sent me a text and about showing little pictures of little white feathers.
So
that
one
they
day I
found.
get in his car and I said, "Oh look, your mom has it." He's like, "Janice, you had that flower arrangement in there. There's all kinds of feathers in there. Of course, there's going to be feathers in my car."
Your
See,
car,
yours
is
your
close.
car does not count.
But you
have so
just-
many wild animals
but
in your
you
car.
No,
just
his car, not mine.
Oh.
His.
No. You're just not acknowledging it then,
Yeah.
because I've seen.
Yeah, there's a feather up in his cup, the cup holder right there. That's not in the back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Oh, look,
yeah.
she was
What are
wearing it.
you
He's like,
thinking? You didn't even think to take a picture.
You know what's going to happen?
I mean, what are you
There's
wanting
a
it
whole
to be?
bird, it's just a whole white
Yeah,
bird
just
goes smack into the windshield. Like, there's your feather.
Is that what you're wanting?
I
I'm
don't
so
know. I don't
confused.
know.
Chicken's
I
gonna
don't know
fly.
where you
through the
guys are
window.
finding all
Goose
these
is gonna go-
feathers that I'm not seeing them.
Goose is gonna go fly through the window.
Good
How
God.
many feathers
You
you
know,
need?
I have had a bird hit my windshield
I
more than
know.
once.
Yeah.
And shatter
An
my
owl.
windshield
An
more than
owl.
once. Yeah.
Maybe that's what's got to
More than-
happen, I guess.
Oh, damn, Travis, I wonder who was visiting you.
Right. Trying to take me out.
All right, my friends, if you're still listening, obviously we've said something that's piqued your interest. We're going to ask that you follow us on all of your social media platforms. If you have anything that you'd like to add or contribute to the show, send it to hauntafterhours@gmail.com. We'd love to have you on as a guest. In the meantime, let's stay connected, and remember,
Do it for the haunt.